All right, good evening, families. I'm going to just wait for a few minutes to make sure that we have everybody on and that we're at our maximum capacity. So just please stand by. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. And I'm so happy you could join us tonight. I'm going to go over some of our reentry procedures and answer some of those frequently asked questions. And just a reminder, if we don't answer your question as we go through the PowerPoint, there'll be opportunities for questions and answers, and I can always be reached on Blooms or via email, or just give me a call. And I have with me tonight Ms. Julia Weeks, Ms. Crystal Wilson, and Ms. Katie Sanchez, and they're going to be supporting throughout this town hall. So thanks for being here. So we'll go ahead and get started. Start with some general information. Just wanting to let everybody know that I know there's been a lot of stories in the news about teachers and schools and just in this transition time. And I want to assure you that we all want to be here and we want to see our students. We need your help. And I'm going to ask you for some help in some very specific places here to make this whole transition a success. We had a great day today, and we really talked about how happy we are to be welcoming students back, and so proud of our team. And it was just a really great positive day, and we're going to be sharing some of those photos on Instagram tomorrow. So look for that. All right, I'll get started. So again, general information, remote learning will be an option for the rest of the school year. Because we have different policies that apply now to remote learning and in-person learning, especially that one of attendance, we need families to choose one option, either in-person or remote only. And I believe that we've reached out to all families and you have stated your preference. And I think I need to follow up with a few of you who have some unanswered questions, and I promise to do that tomorrow. So we just need you guys to choose one option and stick with that option. School starts at 8 and ends at 3, just like regular. Please be on time. This is more important than ever, and we're going to do our best to be on time as well. Uniforms are recommended. If you can't find uniforms, I know there are challenges. I've spoken to some of you about that. Try for solid colors, but there's not going to be any consequences for not wearing uniforms. I know this is really a unique situation, and we're not going to make that a hard and fast requirement. Just please try and do that whenever you can. Masks are required. If forgotten, one will be provided. You can see examples of acceptable masks in the video, which I'm going to share that link here in a little bit later in the presentation. You can't have face shields or neck gaiters or anything like that. It has to be a mask. And I think that our students and our families have done a great job supporting us in following that requirement. So thank you for that. Another responsibility that's going to be really, really, really more important now than ever is to report symptoms and close contact. It says close contact to Ms. Bachman, and I meant to change that. It doesn't mean close contact to me. It means if you've had close contact with a positive COVID case. So I'll try and get that edited before we post this. But that we're asking families, please support us in that way. There's a really distinct flow chart and really distinct steps that we need to follow for each case. It doesn't hurt to ask. If you have questions, you can reach out to me or to Mrs. Weeks, and we can help walk you through what needs to be done and figure out the next steps. Our return to school policy is found in that link, and I did send that out a while back when we first learned about returning in person for our small groups. And so I really recommend taking a look at that, because that's one of the pieces of what we follow when we make decisions about close contact, about positive cases, etc. And then I'm going to ask you to please be patient. Drop off and pick up may be slow at first, so I'm please asking you, that's one particular thing that we're asking you to support in that way. Just be patient. We will get better. Mrs. Weeks, I don't know if this is a good place for you to, if you want to say anything about the procedures and how we've been handling that, anything in general that anybody should know right there.
I think we're okay, maybe a little bit farther in the presentation, I'll have some input.
All right. I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, so for attendance, these are just reminders of policies that we already have. If you look at the bottom bullet on both sides for the in-person and for the remote, those policies are found on that page, and you'll have to search for them by name. And I'm just putting there some of the highlights of each one. So for in-person, it's going to be recorded daily. Please help by being on time for drop-off. Send notification of absence in balloons to Mrs. Weeks, Ms. Bachman, and your child's teacher. And there's some requirements that you can find for documentation for those excused absences in the policies, but feel free to reach out if you have questions. And then on the remote side, we're going to record that daily as well. It's a little bit of a change from what we've been doing. We're going to be looking for a complete attendance survey. We're going to be looking for participation in live instruction, submission of work for the day, and communication from you if there is an issue with technology or sickness. And then that remote learning attendance policy can be found in that link as well. So I'm going to stop for just a minute and see, Ms. Wilson, if we have any questions related to any of that so far.
There are no questions at this time, but I encourage anyone who has questions to use the Q&A feature.
Thank you for that reminder. All right, for our morning drop-off, if you're on time, you're going to be there to drop your kids off from 7:45 to 8. Please help us again by being on time. We will be doing temperature checks. They're not recorded. It's just a screening. And we will have between 3 and 5 people there. So we're going to kind of have a little bit more staff there than what you've seen in the past. Students will go directly to their classrooms. We'll close the gate at 8. There will be a closed community gathering for a few cohorts each day. And we went over that with staff this morning. So, but unfortunately, we can't have any visitors on the campus at drop-off, at pickup, or during those community gatherings. So to really make up for that and to make sure that we include you, we're going to continue those Wednesday virtual community gatherings. So please look for those links. And hopefully getting on Zoom has been a little bit easier. So keep on looking for those. Now, if you're going to be walking up, you're going to line up on Adams, and we have marked the sidewalk there for social distance, and we actually have staff designated to do temperature checks for walk-up students. So that should not interfere with the drive-up line. If you're late, a couple of new things I want to share. Something really exciting is that we do have a security gate now, and you'll need to ring the doorbell. So you escort your child to the north gate in the parking lot. Ring the doorbell. There's a walk-in gate right there by the sidewalk. There are cameras, so make sure you have your ID ready. We'll buzz you in, and you can escort your child to the front door. And for now, we can't have any visitors inside. but we're looking forward to the day when we can expand to that as well. Pick up at 3 p.m. So please place your family name prominently and boldly written in black marker on your car windshield so it's visible to us. Thank you for really starting to do that. All of the families with pickup, that has made things just so amazingly smooth. So please continue to do that. Mr. Nunn will call your students. And for those who are walking up to pick up, there'll be a line on Adams, just the same, and we will have people that will call those families if you're standing out there on the sidewalk, and use those marks. And then just some notes about that. Safety takes time. I think the biggest challenge for us is going to be that practice with students, having them all together. We've got good headway with the small groups. The first few days, I think things are going to be a little bit slow, and we're going to make sure that we have everyone in place and everybody is safely there in the outside before we open the gate. So we'll try to do it as close as possible to 3, I promise, but we might be late the first couple of days. But we've changed our internal processes and how we dismiss so that we're safe and so that we can be on time. But just would appreciate that support from you. All right, the map, I'm gonna let Mrs. Weeks talk a little bit about these procedures here. So I will turn it over to you.
All right, so just like in past years, we will have the drive up, pick up and drop off line along Silver. We do ask that, like Ms. Bachman said, to be patient, as the first couple of days will probably take a little bit longer than normal as we get into a routine and work out all the kinks. But we do want to encourage you to use the drop off and pick up line over walking up your students and lining up along Adams. So drop off and pick up line, like I said, is along Silver. Please be very careful not to block the intersection, as there is traffic that needs to be flow through that intersection. So please be very careful with that. The walk up and pick up line will be lined up along Adams Street, along the fence of the playground and along the building side. Ms. Bachman mentioned that we put marks 6 feet apart along the walk up line. Please pay attention to those so that we can all be safe. There will be a teacher waiting for you at the corner of Silver and Adams for those who are choosing to use the walk-up line to check your student's temperature. Once their temperature is checked, your student will then walk inside the closest gate, and you can then, as a parent, cross the street on Adams and return to your vehicle. Parents will not be permitted past that point. So please just be prepared to leave your student at that point after their temperature has been checked. And I think that goes over anything. These lines for drive up and walk up will be used for drop off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon. I think that's everything.
All right, thank you. And do we have any questions on any of that?
Yes, we have one question from a community member who was asking if since the kids were going once every other week, is that no longer an option? They choose either the remote learning or the full in-person.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's the only question.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, here's a little bit of show and tell for you. So supplies and materials, nothing new is needed. So if I could just sum up the experience the last few days of clearing out the classroom so we have enough space. It's been a discovery, and we always know that as teachers and educators that we tend to hoard, but we have brand new supplies. We don't need anything. We are good. So I encourage you again to watch the reentry video that talks about what can be in the backpack and what isn't, and this kind of expands a little bit on that. So pack these items daily. We have refillable water, bottle, and we do have filling stations. No water fountains, but plenty of water. So rest assured that students will have times to fill up their water bottles, and if they need to do it when they are not doing that at their designated times, then we have a process for that as well. Um, bring snack and lunch if you're not ordering it. If you have a school Chromebook issued to you, please make sure that comes with charger, mouse, and headphones to school in the backpack every day. If you do not have a school issued Chromebook, do not bring your personal device to school. We don't want anything to happen to it. We do have Chromebooks at school for students to use who have not yet been issued those. We're in the process of getting those ready to go. So these are the things I'm going to show and tell a little bit here. These things we want you to bring back if at all possible, just one time, and we will be asking teachers to look for these things and keep them. They're going to stay at desks, and I'll go over that in a little bit. So for pre-K, you have whiteboards and you have Matthew-C manipulatives. So if you don't know what the Matthew-C manipulatives are, they came in a bag like this, and they're little foam cutouts that I know that the teachers have been using. So this one you can bring back. And also for pre-K, if you can bring one change of clothing that we're going to keep in their cubbies, that will be returned at the end of the year. And then for all students, art supplies, foundations materials. I'm going to show you what foundations materials are in case you don't know. So here's, there will be a maximum of 3 books. Every grade level is different, but a foundations journal. Your student might have a student notebook, and your student might have a composition book, and they're different colors for different grade levels. So if I didn't show it, yours might be a different color. So there are 3 booklets possibly, depending on the grade level. Then we have the magnet boards that have the magnets inside, and some of you have more than this. This is our beginning level foundations. And then these foundations whiteboards as well that are marked. So if you have those, bring those back. So that's foundations materials. And then for Matthew-C, have a couple of examples here. So these are all different, and I think that people are familiar with those by now. There's a test booklet, and then there's the student workbook. So those need to come back, and we're going to leave those at school so they don't have to be carried in backpacks. So do we have any questions about any of that?
We do have a question. It's not specific to supplies and materials, but it does back us up a little bit. If a child has an appointment during school hours, how should or how would you like us to pick up or drop off the student? And what procedures would you like a family to follow?
So you can ring the doorbell at that gate, and we'll buzz you in and still have your ID ready. And we'll let you in that gate. And if there happens to be a lot of people that are lining up, I think those front sidewalks are marked as well. I think that we can have, do we have the procedure, Mrs. Weeks, for one person can be in the building and they sign students out? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what we have, right?
Ms. Schroff would meet them at the front door and have them sign them out. And it would be helpful if you know ahead of time if you're picking up a student for an appointment. You can always call the front desk, and Ms. Schroff would be happy to pull your students at the time you'll be picking them up, and that would be helpful for us to have them ready for you right when you get there.
Right. Okay, so she'll greet you at the door, and yeah, and it always helps us if we know ahead of time. Any other questions?
There are no other questions at this time.
All right. I'm going to go on to meals. So breakfast and lunch we have available. In past years, we've had snack, and we don't have that this year. If pre-ordered, meals are free for all students through May 2021. That is all students. But you do have to pre-order them. So in order to do that, check Blooms on Mondays for the link to the order form for that week. Orders are due on Wednesdays by 12 o'clock noon. For safety, we're not serving in the cafeteria. Meals will be distributed directly to classrooms. We have designated areas for each class to eat and times. We have inside and outside options, and the times are staggered. So, Mrs. Weeks, do you have anything to add on that?
Yes, I do. I want to clarify that the order form that will be put out on Mondays and is due by Wednesdays is for the following week's meals. And as well as those that are staying fully remote, you are still able to pick up a week's worth of meals from an APS food pickup site. Those sites are ever changing, so I do recommend that you reference APS's website for the most updated information for those pickup sites. So the order form is only for those who are in-person learning. That's it.
All right, yes, good point. So remote learners check those APS sites. So I will also update this so that's a little bit more accurate and clear. All right, next. Instruction and daily schedules. So we have some things that are going to stay the same as usual, some things that are different than before April 5th. So daily schedules, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, those are going to be the same. So remote learners can sign in. And we will still be posting our daily schedules on Fridays for the coming week. We're still going to submit work in Google Classroom. If you're in person, we're going to submit it in Google Classroom as well. So it doesn't matter what model you're choosing, we're still going to have work submitted that way. Therapies for students who receive them. Ms. Sasha Sanchez, I think, has been working with families on that, but we will continue to offer therapy, and we're working with therapists and families, and that's getting worked out this week as well. If you have questions about that, please feel free to contact me or Ms. Sasha Sanchez. We are still going to continue with our weekly student engagement surveys, and we are going to continue, as I mentioned before, virtual community gatherings on Wednesdays so that we can have everybody participate, because we want you to still feel a part of the community. Art and PE we will still be having. Different than before. Wednesday live lab times, we are going to add those into the schedules and into Google Meet. And we talked about that today with our leadership team, and we're gonna kind of refine those daily schedules before we post them on Friday. And we do have a collaboration on Friday, so we'll go over that with teachers. Concurrent teaching and learning, which means we're going to have remote learners sign on, and the live instruction will take place. Then there will be less screen, more Promethean in those classrooms for in-person learning. So it's not like students who are going to be sitting in the class on a Chromebook doing work all day, just so you can kind of get a picture of that. I think you already know we're not going to have weekly check-ins anymore. We're only going to utilize that in cases where we feel that's necessary. We are going to use Wednesdays to do some different social emotional connections with students, and that'll be reflected in the schedules, in the new schedules. So in-person community gatherings on scheduled days for different classes. So those times that students will be outside with me doing the pledge and our morning routine, we are going to have those remote learners use the materials that are posted in the classroom. Do I have any questions on instruction and daily schedules?
One parent wanted to clarify whether or not students would be online all day and if there would be a break in the day.
Yes, we have brain breaks, and I think we have 3 total, including the one that we have right before lunch. So students are not going to be on their devices all day. There will be submission of work and some other things, but those people who are in person are not going to be on their devices all day. All right.
There are no other questions at this time.
All right. Additional safety measures, I feel like it's important to let you know. I didn't put this on here either, but we did pass our fire marshal inspection. I think there are 25 or 26 points that we had to pass. And we also do reporting weekly on our PPE and other things, and we do surveillance testing with staff. So those, I didn't add that, but just know that we do that, and we did pass the fire marshal inspection. Part of that inspection is this first bullet here. We have the highest filtration, quality filtration possible. We have the MERV 13 filters. Our dampers are open even when we're not utilizing that particular system. So those are the requirements for safe classes as far as the HVAC goes. And I know I've gotten some questions in the past, so you can send those on to me if you have any. But I don't know if I really made an announcement to the whole community that we had that. We had those upgrades from the summer to the heating and air conditioning system itself. And then we were able to install the highest level of filter possible. Another safety measure is that teachers are going to educate, model, and reinforce COVID safe practices. You're going to see some pictures tomorrow of the process of classroom arrangement, gutting, and dehoarding. I don't even know if that's a word. So anyway, it's looking good, and we are just almost there. For K to 5th grade students, student desks with space for all personal items is what we're going to have. So there won't be like going out in the hall and hanging things up, or hanging your coat here and your belongings here. They'll all be in one central place. For pre-K, of course, we have the individual student cubbies. Their belongings will stay there, and they will not be shared. And because we had practice with our small groups, we have really good procedures, and teachers are really good at overseeing those processes that are required for safety. Individual student packets, supply packets, we're not going to do sharing of any supplies, and no community supplies. We're putting together packets that stay at desks and are not shared. And I think I have an example of that somewhere. So this is an example of a packet here. It has all the supplies that are needed, and these will stay at student desks. And we have plexiglass barriers when appropriate, when we're doing one-on-one with teachers and students in other situations. And we have those available for staff. We have many sanitation stations throughout the school. We have clearly defined procedures for transitions, and we just went over that with teachers and staff today. We've had lots of training with staff. And then if you want to look at some of the details again, there's our re-entry video. There are a few little differences there. You'll see classrooms that are set up for small groups, but we are ready with larger groups now. So if you want to look at masks, if you want to look at the sanitation stations, what goes in backpacks, that video is a really good reference. So do we have any questions?
No questions about safety measures, but one follow-up to the previous question. For remote learners, are they on their devices all day?
They're on their devices the same amount of time. So the daily schedules are not going to change. So it's not like we're going to increase the time. So for that instruction, for that important instruction at the beginning of lab time, they'll be on their devices. So there isn't going to really be that much of a change. We're not changing the schedules up. So a good comparison is how much they're on now will be comparable to what they're going to be going forward.
Thank you. There are no other questions at this time.
All right. Okay, on a different topic is registration and intent to return. So for parent view access, I think everyone has received your initial invitation. I'm going to go ahead and Mrs. Weeks, I'd like you to go over that since you know the details here. So I'll turn that over to you.
Perfect. So you should have received a parent view access code and instructions last week. If you did not receive that email, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to resend that or help you get connected. With the exception of our pre-K students that are currently pre-K this year, who will be registering for kindergarten next year, we are waiting for Parent View to open up registration for that specific grade. And it sounds like that will be complete and ready by next Tuesday, the 6th. I will be sending out an email specifically to those parents that need to register their kindergartners next Tuesday when it is open. But if you did not receive an email and you believe you should have, please let me know and I would be happy to help you with that. Please complete registration for next school year, which is what we're using for our intent to return. Please complete that by next Wednesday, which is April 7th. So that would be for any kindergartners through 4th graders this year, registering for next year. Pre-K going into kindergarten next year, your due date would be April 14th for you to complete that registration. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you with that since this is a new process this year to us. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Ms. Wilson, do we have any questions regarding registration?
There are no questions regarding registration.
Okay.
All right, so our lottery for next year, some of you have been asking because you have siblings who want to get in. So we'll be conducting it for pre-K between April 19th and the 23rd. And it's really a phone call. It's not really like an event and sit there, and it's nothing that you can that we could even view or share with you. So it's a whole process, and we'll be contacting you. We usually make it a practice to call via phone first, and then if we can't reach you, we follow up with an email. So pre-K April 19th to 23rd, and K through 5th grades will be the 27th through the 30th. If you know anyone who wants to get on the lottery, I encourage you to do that and go to the website and have them sign up. And Mrs. Weeks, do you have anything to add for that?
I do not. I think you covered everything.
All right. Well, I'm going to pause for any additional questions.
We have no additional questions at this time.
All right. So I'm going to work to get this posted and the link to this video posted, and please feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions or you think of something after this. Ms. Wilson, how long do you think by tomorrow we would have this posted?
Yes, we should be able to post this tomorrow.
Okay, sometime, I think tomorrow before noon, just to give us some time. And I will work on updating this PowerPoint as well. So thank you for your time. And I really look forward to next week.